Yo! So today I'm going to be giving a detailed breakdown on how I learned to 50-50 on a freeboard. It's actually a lot easier than it looks, so hopefully this video will help you learn to 50-50 really quickly so that you can style it out and do some sick freestyle tricks. Alright, let's go. So I've been learning 50-50s for a while, but I've recently taken up to doing them a lot more. And they can make your runs look so much better, and honestly they're a lot easier than they look depending on the spot that you're trying to hit. This video will basically be a breakdown on how I learn new freeboard tricks. I wouldn't recommend trying to do a board slide or 50-50 at speed without any practice. You can always break tricks down into much easier steps, and this is what this video is going to be about. The most important part about 50-50ing on a freeboard is where you need to land on the 50-50. So based on this diagram of the freeboard, you're going to want to land in between the center wheels and the edge wheels on either side of the truck. And depending on what kind of rail you're hitting, whether it's a box or just a rail, will dictate how much you need to commit over the edge of the bar. So find yourself a nice low rail and just practice hopping on and off it like this. And there's no need to rush with this. Really make sure that you can hop on and off it without fail every single time. This is definitely the most simple way to break the trick down. And after you've got this mastered, you can start approaching the rail with a little bit more speed and practice doing it while moving slowly. I'd then recommend either trying a higher box or a rail instead. Rails are a little bit harder because you have to balance once you land on them. However, if you have a high box, then it's more difficult because you have to jump higher to land on it. For me, this box was perfect because it was just under half the height of a freeboard, which was a lot higher than I was doing previously. So practicing jumping on and off at slow speed was really useful for improving my 50-50s. Once I'd practiced this quite a lot, I then moved on to a way higher rail. Now this rail is more than half the height of my G3R board, and so it really wasn't straightforward to hop onto this. But with the practice of the previous rails, I was able to hop on and off really consistently. I'd really recommend, if you're practicing tricks like this, to wear wrist guards. Falling off on a freeboard happens all the time, especially when you're trying new tricks, and it's really not worth the pain of having a sprained wrist, especially if you have other stuff to do in your life other than freeboarding. So even though loads of people won't be wearing stuff like this at skate park, they're probably not freeboarding. So if I were you, I'd definitely wear wrist guards. It's totally worth it. At this point, it should be clear that by jumping on and off the rail and tackling it at much lower speed, you'll be able to 50-50 basically any kind of box that you want. Once you've practiced a variety of heights of different boxes and you can land on the 50-50 every time, I'd recommend trying to up the speed, because this is the only way that you'll be able to finish a 50-50 of a much longer rail. So this is the example that I practiced on, and I started by jumping on and off the rail and then going at low speed. And as you can see, I'm barely finishing a third of the rail. So obviously I need to be going much quicker if I want to do the entirety of this rail as a 50-50. But with enough practice, I tackled it at higher speed and landed the whole rail. This was not something that I would have been able to do before, but all of this practicing on doing things really simple meant that I was able to do something much more complicated. So I definitely recommend, if you're trying a new trick on the freeboard, really do try and break it down into much simpler, safer steps first, because that will reduce the chances that you get injured. And as you can see here, I'm trying the exact same method on board slides, which I haven't done much practice at all, but which are also a great alternative to hitting rails.
It's also a great way to destroy the bottom of your board.
So I hope this video will help you learn to 50-50 on a freeboard. You'll easily be able to do it with a little bit of practice, and just make sure that you do the easy steps first before you tackle the more difficult ones. If you enjoyed the video, definitely check out the other videos on the channel. I make freeboarding content every week, and if you don't know much about freeboarding, you should definitely consider getting one. They're really fun and super underrated, and we definitely need more freeboard riders to spread the word of this incredible sport.